Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pearls of Wisdom. We have Suchada and Navasit today, and we talk about abuse, which is a very important topic in these times. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay. Why are some people abusing others?
You know, this is a power game. Like somebody does not have enough self-esteem, for example, so he abuses others. And, you know, abuse is something that generally you want to put your own will on another person. Like you tell other people how to do things, what they have to do. So you neglect one of the very first laws that we are here on a planet of free will. So everybody who wants to take, I say, power over somebody else, and this starts very often young, like, you know, with the parents also. Instead of understanding what is good for a child and guide it, they make rules. Like our schools, all our schools are absolute abuse, because this is a brainwash, and it makes you to become somebody what they want you to be. And this is why schools were made at that time. You know, that all goes back to Rockefeller and those guys when they started to make school. It was only to enslave humanity even more, but with the illusion that they are free. So you have the illusion that you can choose what you want to do, but you have a very, very small menu, more or less. You know, you have this and this profession, this and this possibility that they give you, but you in fact have no free will to really do what you want, and maybe even what you're born to do. So generally our whole world runs on abuse, and everybody want to take their slice of pizza. And I mention pizza for purpose. You know what pizza also stands for. You heard about Pizzagate and stuff like that, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, it is very important to see that one of the things to make you free is to get off all abuse. And that means that you don't let others abuse you, and you do not abuse others. So that means you might look at guidelines, and you might look at situations that are out there, but don't, absolutely not, just follow something that somebody else tells you to do. And then the abuse part of it is also, you're not good enough, and if you don't do that, you're going to be punished, and you know, all that. This is, we can say we have mental abuse, we have emotional abuse, and we have physical abuse that goes till physical, physical abuse.
And how can we recognize fast if someone wants to abuse us?
First of all, if they tell you what you have to do, that's, I mean, that we have to make maybe an exception. When you have a job and you have agreed to do certain things on that job to get money for the work that you're doing, so when the boss gives you the order to assign you the work to do this is not abuse. But we have to be careful there, even because, you know, even in the workplace, you can abuse people. Like you assign them work that is not really their job, or that is too much for them, or things like that. So you have for example, I just had, I was in Hong Kong working often some years ago, and I had a client, and I figured out at that time, he said he worked every day till 8 o'clock, but his official working hours were like, I think, till 6 or something like that. And
Katharina, you're freezing.
Oh, yeah, I see you too, but I hear it works. Wait a second, I make the break. So, but his boss told him to work till like 9 o'clock. And I said, why don't you quit your job? And then he said, you know, I can quit your job, but there are 10 people in the background that want my job. And I don't get another job because I will never go home at 5 o'clock. So this is absolute abuse. So the thing is, if you you don't have much choice, you have to move away or whatever. But see, this is what is the prison planet Earth in the moment. What is going on the Earth is that we are all abused, and even unknowingly, often we abuse others. It is so much into our program that it becomes nearly automatic. But we have to move away from that, and we have to recognize the abuse is every time somebody tells you, oh, somebody wants to take power over you and goes against what you feel you have to do, or what is your desire to do, what is overtaxing you, or expecting too much, and all these things is in the category of abuse.
And what kind of word do they use to abuse people?
The words usually beside all the bad words, if you don't do that, you and so on, is going into the direction of blackmail, and generally the use of the words you have to.
Okay.
And if you don't do this, then, or then very often also, oh, if you don't, you know, like in religion, for example, if you are not going to do this or that, or you can give us money to we pray for you and all that stuff, that is absolutely blatant abuse. And you can see that every time that people force something upon you, that this is abuse.
So so it means that the blackmail part, the blackmail is the part of the abuse, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
So I can say that if someone pretend to be sick in order to get over my power,
Yes,
is
yes.
that like a blackmail?
Absolutely, yes. This is also something that happened very often, and you can see that, for example, there is a family, and say, for example, the mother is simply overworked, had too much to do, and wants attention. So the family doesn't give her attention, but just the mother has to. They abuse the mother, that you have to, but you're the mother, and you have to. And at one point, the mother just started to have headaches, and then the whole family have to tiptoe around it because of her migraine or whatever she has. And then this often happen unconscious, that unconsciously the body starts to make these headaches or whatever it is, that the mother can get her time to relax. And of course, this is father or this anybody else the same way, but very often illness is being used to blackmail others, because illness is presenting something that has fallen into the body. So if you don't have the courage to stand up, no, now I need a break, or this is my time, then the body is getting the time. So the question is, when this is happening, who is abusing who? Why does it happen? Where is the abuse coming from? It can be the family abusing, just as example now, the mother, or it can also be the mother that she is simply using her family to get the attention or whatever she needs. It's a very fine line. We have to be very careful here.
Could it be we abuse ourselves
Of course.
and not knowing that we are doing so?
This is
By abusing others, we abusing ourselves too.
Yes, yeah. And this is very often, that is actually very often in the background is a religious belief. Like, for example, I have a friend and one person in her family, she is, at one point she was very Buddhist, at one point she was very Christian, at one point she was very whatever. And then in a way, she follows these rules and goes to nearly a fanatism, and she abuses herself in a way with the background of this belief. But I have to, because the priest said, or the nun said, or the monk said, or whoever, this is even not, I don't know how to say it. It's like not understanding who we really are and abusing our divine heritage in a way. Like we talk so many times about that we are divine beings having a human experience. And if you deny that, in a way, you also abuse your own experience as a divine being.
And I come up with one question. If I spoil someone, it means that I abuse them.
If you spoil somebody, what do you mean with how do you spoil somebody?
Spoil
Let
like
them do whatever they want or pleasing them too much.
Oh, okay. Maybe because you don't want to stand up for yourself, you just do everything what the other person wants. You abuse mainly yourself.
Okay.
Because you don't stand up for yourself. I mean, to spoil somebody in a healthy way is absolutely perfect, you know. But it's again, you know, we don't know anymore where the rules are. Where should I start? Where should I stop? Everything is so out of proportion that this is so important that we start to move back within ourselves to truly feel what is right and what is not. Most people have the problem about controlling, wanting to control others, and then the other half is like, they want to be controlled. Actually, I don't know if you did listen to the videos from Adamo Saint-Germain, the channeling. And he said that he was going to different places and talk to kings and whatever to free people. But he realized that people don't want to be free. They want to be told what they have to do. They're lost if they're free. And this is because they have no connection to their divine self. They are completely cut off their own source, their own divinity. So they don't know anymore what to do with themselves. And in this moment, there will be just a guidance to instead of a fist, you know, kind of like this, to give them guidance, same as in school. Give the kids guidance, but let them free, let them learn what they want to learn. And there are schools who are doing this, and in the that was in the 80s or so, in the Summerhill school that let children just free was very successful. But they couldn't hold it up because it was against the principle of our society. Because that's always when people ask me, for example, yeah, but then we don't need to go to school. I said, no. Like when we talk about enlightened society, because normal, no, not normal, natural. A natural person wants to learn, wants to experience, is curious. So what are you doing when you're curious? You learn, you figure out, you figure out the way to find out what you're curious about.
Yes. By the way, I have one example. One of my friends, she has a son in the kindergarten.
Yeah.
And currently, her son just only one student in the class.
Okay, good.
Because the rest of them moved to another school, and she make a decision that she want to move her son to another school because she afraid that if her son study alone, he might not get well with the friend, adapting
social connections.
Yeah. So it means that she abused him or not, because anyway, the son cannot make a decision by himself.
Why not?
because he's so young. He's kindergarten, so he
5
might.
years old?
Yeah, but you can ask you like your teacher, you want to stay with your teacher, he can say yes or no. There's nothing to do with age. Even a
Okay.
small child. Do you like your teacher? Do you think you're happy there where you are? And if he said yes, then leave it. And then until something else comes up or other kids start to join again.
Yeah, but in the perspective of the parents, they think that
Yeah, again.
they think instead of their son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So-
know, this is a very fine line too. How much do parents have to guide the kids, and how much do the kids already are able to say what they want? I mean, it's really kind of weird that you can have a 4 or 5 year old choose to do a gender change. But on the other hand, they are not allowed to stay up till 10 o'clock because the parents said you have to go to bed at 8. I mean, it's all out of proportion. But in a case like that, I mean, there is nothing bad about the situation. The only thing is that in a moment he does not have any other kids. Maybe this is the greatest chance for this kid to learn something that he would never learn in a group of other kids. So I would just again guide and then just say, okay, now you're alone. Are you happy with that? Do you want people, do you want kids to play with you? What do you think what you would want to do? And then I would at least consider.
Okay.
And not just say, okay, now there are no more children. Maybe this is a chance. You have to look at it from both sides.
Okay. It's like a fine line.
Yeah, it is a very fine line here.
Because they're afraid that if he's alone now, he might get full attention from the teacher, right?
Yes.
And then when they go to the
higher schools, yeah.
high school, but he will not get the attention from the teacher because a lot of students. So that's the thing that the parents are afraid.
Lots of concern, no?
Yeah, just let it be, because life is a challenge. Maybe in the moment he has this phase that he needs attention alone, but when he goes back to class, you know, he's still a child, and afterwards when other children are there, generally they play again, you know, then it's never such a difficult decision. But it's a fine line. Figure out what would be best.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so what else do we have? What questions here?
So what does an abuser benefit from his actions?
When you abuse others, what you are doing is actually stealing power from the other person. The other person gives power away to you because that person follow you, because in a way accept yourself as a higher being, that you have the right to order this person around. So very often it's about power. Very often it's about obedience. Like you have to obey me because I say you're going to do this and you're going to do that. And again, we have as children, like from the karmic perspective, a child grows up with 14 when it comes into the menstruation cycle or in the puberty, you know. So this is the moment that actually a child becomes an adult, when it becomes into the gender. Today we have their problem anyway. So, but still there are only 2 genders. Whatever you say, that's it, you know. So in this situation, an adult takes over responsibility for her life. That means from that moment on, you create your own karma. Before, the parents are involved in a child's karma, and it's not the same. But that moment when you become an adult from your body situation, you create your own karma. So before, when the parents had still some saying, because they were carrying the karma with the child, but 14 onwards not. So this is the moment that we should stand up and take back our power. So it's always everything is about power. So power is emotional power, mental power. Then we have the material expression of power is usually money.
Okay. So how can we free ourselves from being abused?
The first thing is you have to look at yourself. Do you abuse yourself still? And this means, do you still follow rules that somebody else outside of you have put out there that do not serve you? And then you kick these rules out of your life, and then you start to become more and more present and aligned to the here and now. What is it what you need now in this moment of this time? And then you can balance that you don't abuse yourself anymore. And then don't abuse others. It means don't tell others what they have to do. You can make a guideline. I say, I can cook for your money, but if you want to eat it, that's up to you. Don't feed them, force feed them, you know. And then at the same time, you also look around. Who is around in my surrounding, in my family surrounding, friends surrounding, like emotional, mental area, who is abusing me, who's telling me what I have to do. And then just gently say to these people, well, maybe you don't have to say anything, just don't do it, or just say, I'm sorry, I don't really think that's good for me, or whatever. Just free yourself. Personal abuse first, that you recognize where you abuse yourself, and then step forward with the two things also, that you don't abuse others and don't others let abuse you.
So it means that do we have like awareness?
Well, this is to be awake. And now see, that's again, are you conscious or are you not? Are you hanging with your thoughts constantly in the past or in the future? People who are hanging in the future all the time, usually constantly afraid. I'm afraid this, I'm afraid that. And people who are also often in the past is the same. I'm afraid too, because they're always afraid that the past is going to repeat itself in the future. And it will, because they manifest it. So that this is the state of being in fear. The moment you take back your power, there is no more fear. So you stand up and you know that you can create your own life, and you might need advice from others. You might go also online to figure out certain things. You can start to take responsibility instead of just going to a doctor when you have a headache and take pills, that you can start to realize what really your headache is about. And in Thai, you say that so nicely, mi pua tua kit mak. So that means you have a headache because you think too much. So this is, well, anyway, this is easy when you start. Once you start to think that way, you can say you think vertical and not horizontal, like past and future anymore, but you think vertical, like the connection with yourself, then your life shifts around, and then the fear of the past and the future is gone. So when we align ourselves to the moment, and you look around, what is my need in the moment, what I have to do, and then you will know automatically, because it's within you. And then you can throw all these other good advice, bad advice, whatever is away, and start to do what you want to do.
But what about for some people who get used to be told to do things? How can they initiate?
Well,
to
there is only one way. It's about consciousness and consciousness level. There is a certain level of consciousness. They will always need advice what to do. They are not free yet because their consciousness level is still stuck in fear. You know, the consciousness table that we also made, that they are stuck in fear, and fearful people need advice what to do. But every time you refuse to give them advice, you force them to think for themselves. Maybe this is the best way how they can awake.
This is the key word.
Okay, good. So I
and
guess you
they
keep
will be able to initiate their own way, right?
yeah, or they start to look for somebody else again. You know, we see that also very often. People who get divorced and get married. I had a guy in my therapy once, and he showed me a picture of his 3 past wives. You know what? They look all the same, exactly the same type of brunette, same size, same type. But can I say, why the hell do you have 3 wives when you marry always the same again? And he has always the same problem again. So it's you. It's if you are ready to make that step into sovereignty, if you are letting go of all this abuse and all this you have to whatever, then your life will change, as long as you still ask others for advice. And I don't mean an advice like, for example, if you need to know something that you cannot know. Like, for example, when I'm looking for homeopathic remedies, I don't have everything in my head. I still go into my books and look at it and then juggle, okay, this is the right and this is not the right, you know, whatever. This is not that kind of knowledge, I mean, but I know that I don't want a chemical tablet or whatever. I want a homeopathic remedy, but I need to figure out what I need. So I still need teachers who were before me, who had more experience. And to seek a teacher is not bad at all. But you have, even when you have a teacher, listen carefully. And don't believe everything what he or she says, because everybody is in the moment in time at a certain place in life and can give you from their point of view where they are standing in the moment. And you are in a certain place where you maybe need that advice, but maybe 10 years later, you don't need to go back to the same teacher. You might find other people because your consciousness level is not the same anymore.
I see.
So stop abusing yourself. Don't tell yourself what to do. Feel into the situation. Look at what is best for you in the moment. Don't ask others and don't let others tell you what you have to do, what you have to do. And if you don't do it, you blah, blah, blah. That's all abuse. And at the same time, don't do it to others.
Yeah. So, and just question that maybe you already answered. How can we make sure not to abuse anyone around us?
I think the first step is stop to abuse yourself. And then it will come automatically that you don't abuse others either.
Yeah.
And if you do it and if you catch yourself, stop it. And maybe if you have a chance, you can apologize, or you can say, oh, you don't have to, whatever. And, you know, when this happened many, many, many times, at one point you stop automatically because you see the pattern. But in the beginning, to step out of a pattern, you need some time.
I think the difficult part is that we don't know we're abusing ourselves.
Exactly.
I mean, sometimes we stuck in the routine so much that actually I'm lazy to keep this routine. But there's a but.
Exactly. We are still in a human body. Like, there are certain routines we still need to follow. For example, we still need food every day. We still have to clean our apartment, whatever. And there are things that are maybe, we can say, if you don't do it, you're in trouble. So there is the blackmail. So if I don't clean my house, I'm living in a stable. I don't want to live in a stable, so I clean my house. But this is just a natural way of material living. When we talk about abuse, we go a step further, not the usual things we have to do to have a convenient or a good life.
I see.
I think it goes all the same. When you start to realize abuse itself, you automatically start to be careful not to abuse yourself, and at the same time not to abuse others, and you will recognize when somebody else want to abuse you. So I think it's just all going more or less together once you understand what it is about. Okay, so very good. That is another question off the hook. So I wish you a nice weekend, and for those who watch our video, thank you very much. Please give us a thumbs up, and we'll talk soon again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.